Bullies tore the silent girl's shirt, but her stunning comeback left everyone speechless. In the dimly lit hallway of Maplewood High, a world twisted into shadows and whispers awaited. Sofia, a shy senior with soft brown hair and big hazel eyes, always blended into the background. The school drummed with laughter and gossip, but she often stood alone, lost in thoughts of art and the colours that comforted her. That day, however, everything changed in an instant. As she walked, the air crackled with an unspoken tension. A group of bullies, their eyes glinting like sharp knives, lurked nearby. With cruelty that stung like ice, they surrounded her. "Look at her, the invisible girl," one sneered. Just as the laughter erupted, a sudden movement, a hand yanked at her shirt, tearing it apart like paper. The sound of ripping fabric echoed in her ears, drowning out the gasps of shock that followed. Heat rushed to her face, and for a moment, time hung suspended. All eyes fell on her, students, teachers, even the janitor. Her skin, suddenly exposed not just to the cold air, but to all her greatest insecurities, felt raw and vulnerable. The world faded, a blur of colour and noise, as she stood there, heart pounding like a wild drum. But beneath that wave of humiliation, a spark flickered, alive, undeniable. Instead of retreating, something fierce ignited within her. Everybody had their secrets. Sofia's was her talent for creating breathtaking art. That very evening, she decided to pour her heart into a mural on the school's exterior wall. Splashing vibrant colours, she would portray her emotional struggles and the hurt inflicted by her tormentors. Word spread quickly. Curious eyes started gathering in anticipation. Students whispered, exchanging theories. What was she planning? Among them, Lucas stood, a boy known for his playful grin and an effortless cool. He watched, captivated, drawn to her quiet courage. The room buzzed with energy, the thrumming pulse of change weaving through the crowd. But the bullies, infuriated by her defiance, whispered amongst themselves, cooking up a plan to retaliate. They were not done with Sofia yet. The principal, Mr. Hayes, his own scars hidden beneath a polished exterior, observed from a distance. He knew the sting of ridicule and the bitter taste of resilience. This time, he couldn't look away. As Sofia began to unveil the layers of her mural, the crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath. Each stroke told a story. Pain, sorrow, and finally a flicker of hope. The colours bled into one another, creating a haunting beauty. But the air thickened with unease. The imminent tension wrapped itself around everyone watching. Just then, a noise broke through the crowd. An angry shout. Hearts raced. Eyes searched eagerly for the source. Would the bullies strike back? Would she find the strength to stand tall? Sofia was caught in the whirlwind of conflicting emotions, holding on to hope even as fear threatened to suffocate her. What was left in the balance? Would her emerging voice become her salvation, or push her deeper into despair? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just do a quick check on that red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any of the exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, smash that like button. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, And tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person in this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Sofia was lost in a whirlwind of colour and sound. The crowd's breathless anticipation mixed with her own racing heart. She stepped back, brushes in hand, about to unveil her truth. But then, a sudden shout broke through the air, a voice dripping with anger and hatred. Stop! Enough! All heads turned to see Maddie, an unexpected figure emerging from the back of the crowd. Brown curls bounced as she stormed forward, her eyes blazing with an intensity that felt almost otherworldly. Maddie was one of the frontline bullies, known for her vicious quips and cruel laughter. Everyone held their breath. What was she doing? Was she about to join the others in tormenting Sofia once more? I won't let you destroy her. Not again. Maddie's words cut through the tension like a knife. The crowd gasped, confusion wrinkling their brows. Sofia felt a tide of anxiety wash over her. The sight of Maddie, standing so defiant, was shocking. Seriously, a voice from the crowd murmured. Does she even care? The audience shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances of disbelief. But Maddie continued, her voice growing stronger. I've bullied her, but today I'm done. I'm done using my pain to hurt others. Sofia blinked, struggling to comprehend. Was Maddie really confessing? The girl who had made Sofia's life hell was now trying to protect her. The bullies exchanged incredulous looks, their smirks faltering. Ever since last year, I've been hiding too. Please don't let them win anymore, Maddie continued, eyes filled with an unexpected depth. I'm tired of being the puppet in their cruel game. The murmurs increased. Some students couldn't believe what they were hearing. Others looked at Maddie with a mix of suspicion and dawning understanding. Is she faking? Are we being set up? Someone whispered. But then, another voice. Lucas stepping forward from the crowd. You were hurting us, Maddie. Your words, they cut deep. Sofia felt his words echo in her chest. Was this really happening? Maddie turned, her expression softening, revealing something beneath the tough exterior. No, I was hurt, and I thought this was the way to be strong. I wanted to fit in, but it was a lie. I'm sorry. Her voice trembled slightly at the last word, and for the first time, a glimmer of vulnerability flashed in her eyes. Sofia's heart raced. An inexplicable mix of anger and compassion. Delicate threads of empathy began to weave through the chaos. Could she trust Maddie? Could anyone? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted again. The bullies, fueled by rage and jealousy, surged forward, shoving through the crowd. Shut up, Maddie! You're just pretending, one yelled. Chaos erupted. Their laughter turned sinister, a tide of disdain crashing against Maddie's unexpected vulnerability. Don't try to play the hero. Now, they shouted, pushing Maddie back. As she stumbled, the crowd roared, confusion and shock swirling into an electric panic. Sofia felt her stomach drop. She had started this mural as her own declaration, but now it had somehow unearthed Maddie's buried pain, and the bullies were ready to strike. It was too much. The colours blurred before Sofia's eyes as the moment hung in the balance, a vivid drop of paint ready to spill across a beautifully imperfect canvas. Would Maddie find her strength? Would the crowd turn against her again? Or had turning the tables only opened up a deeper wound? Everything hung by a thread, a singular moment balancing on the edge of a knife, leaving Sofia teetering between possibilities. Who would rise, Who would fall? The crowd erupted into chaos, each voice rising above the other, the air thick with tension. Maddie stumbled back, her face a canvas drenched in uncertainty. The bullies moved in closer, their laughter sharp like blades in the night. Sofia's hands trembled as she held her brushes, her heart racing in rhythm with the unfolding storm. Then, as if a switch flipped, the brightest light burst from above. A blinding flash illuminated the entire courtyard. Hearts dropped, eyes squinted. A deafening sound followed. Crack! The noise shattered the air like glass. Students screamed, some ducking to the ground. In an instant, panic took hold. Sofia turned instinctively, fear coursing through her veins. What just happened? Time slowed, and the world fell silent in the wake of the eruption. From that flash, out of the haze, someone emerged, clad in dark clothing, face obscured by a mask. A swift, commanding figure that every eye followed. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a web of whispers. Urgency lacing every breath. "Maddie!" the figure shouted, voice deep and resonant. "You have to listen!" The crowd parted, fear fracturing into confusion as the figure approached with demanding strides. Sofia's heart pounded louder. Who was this? What did they know? Maddie stood still, shock etched on her face. Behind the mask, hidden memories seemed to flicker. "What are you doing here?" she gasped, her earlier courage faltering. Under this sudden threat. Was this someone from her past? A friend? A foe? The figure stepped closer, and suddenly their hand reached up, pulling the mask off, revealing Clara, a girl from the lower class, who had always stayed in the shadows. The quiet artist with raw talent. Someone who never spoke, but painted words with brushes instead. Clara's eyes burned with urgent fire. "Listen!" she shouted, her voice carrying through the whirlwind of disbelief. "Maddie, I know your secret. The real reason why you've been acting this way. I saw you." A silence hung heavy in the air. Everyone was transfixed, breathing shallow, waiting for the reveal that could alter everything. Maddie backed up, the fear clear in her wide eyes. "You don't know anything," she shouted, voice tremoring, but it felt weak, almost desperate. "Yes, I do. You think you can keep hiding? You pushed everyone away because you were scared, because of what you've done." Clara's voice cut through the tension. "But when you hurt them, you only hurt yourself." A murmur spread through the crowd, the energy shifting. Sofia stood frozen, disbelief coursing through her. What was Clara saying? What secret? "Maddie, please." Clara continued, voice breaking, vulnerability seeping through the bravado. "Just tell them the truth. You're not alone. You never were." Sweat dripped down Maddie's brow, her eyes darting, searching for a way out. "Shut up! Just stop it!" she yelled. But her voice faltered, betraying the emotions swirling inside. Then the air shifted again, a lingering tension, a collective weight bearing down. "Do you even realize what you're doing?" Lucas called out, stepping forward, eyes locked onto Maddie. "We could help you, but not if you keep hiding." The bullies momentarily paused as the tide of emotions began to shift, their laughter dying. The truth was bubbling to the surface, the crowd's eyes narrowing with scrutiny. "Enough!" Maddie shouted, tears brimming. But something cracked in her voice, a chink appearing in her armor. The room took a collective breath, the weight of her secret looming over everyone. A drumroll of emotion pulsed through Sofia's veins. Fear, anger, compassion, all swirling into a maelstrom. What were the secrets buried in Maddie's heart? What truth lay buried beneath her cruelty? And if Maddie revealed it, how would that change everything? The atmosphere crackled as Clara stepped closer, pushing the boundaries of fear and shame. Would Maddie break? Would she finally shatter the facade? The moment hung in the balance, a raw moment of impending revelation. What would spill out next? Would honesty heal or destroy? As Sofia stood on the precipice of chaos, the mural before her now seemed a metaphor, a vivid clash of colours, darkness and light, promising both hope and tumult. All eyes were on Maddie, hearts racing. The world held its breath, waiting for her next move. The atmosphere thickened. As all eyes turned toward Maddie, fear and uncertainty coiling in the air like a living thing, Clara stepped forward, her voice crackling with determination. "This isn't just about you, Maddie. It's about all of us. You can't keep fighting alone." Sofia's heart raced, pounding like a drum against her chest. The moment was teetering, ready to break. Maddie's gaze flickered, as if she were trapped between two worlds. But then an unexpected shake rattled through the crowd. A sudden crack of thunder echoed overhead, shaking the ground beneath them. Students flinched, murmurs escalating into frantic chatter. Dark clouds rolled in, casting shadows that felt almost alive, pressing down on them. The air charged with electricity, bodies instinctively drawing closer. Together. "Just tell them the truth," Clara implored, her eyes locked onto Maddie, pleading for a reply soaked in sincerity. But the storm had other plans. With a roar, the skies opened, and rain poured down in a frantic frenzy. Sofia gasped. The world had shrunk to the sound of droplets splattering against the ground. Students shrieked as they scrambled for cover, hands above heads and faces twisted in shock. Only Maddie and Clara remained in the open, a spotlight on their swirling tension amid the chaos. Then, right as everyone thought the worst was upon them, Maddie's entire demeanour shifted. A strange calm washed over her face, and she suddenly turned to the crowd, voice rising above downpour. "You all think you know me, but really, who am I?" Before anyone could respond, from the corner of the courtyard, a figure appeared, clad in a rain-soaked sweatshirt, soaking wet, yet unfazed. It was Sarah, Maddie's older sister, someone no one had seen in years. The murmurs darted through the crowd, an electric current of confusion sparking among them. "Maddie, you need to listen," Sarah shouted, her voice urgent, cutting through the rain. The crowd hushed, straining to catch every word. Sofia felt a wave of apprehension, like a weight sinking in her chest. "What are you doing here?" Maddie cried, surprise flooding her face. Anger flickered there, but something deeper loomed beneath. A fear that perhaps no. "I know everything," Sarah pressed, stepping closer, water slicking her hair to her skull. "I've seen the pain you've caused, but do you even see the pain inside yourself?" Sofia felt the energy shift again. The crowd pulsed, torn between shock and sheer worry. "What does she mean?" someone whispered. "What's the connection?" But then, just as Sarah seemed poised to reveal a breathtaking truth, another crack of thunder split the air, and the once steady rain suddenly turned into a torrential downpour. People gasped as a loud explosion erupted nearby, sending debris spraying through the courtyard like shrapnel. Students screamed of chaotic clarity. Sofia saw Maddie's face change. The defiance transformed into raw terror, as if the very ground was splitting apart, revealing deep cracks in everything she thought she knew. "Help! Get inside!" someone shouted, voices rising in alarm, and suddenly the crowd surged. A sea of bodies disoriented by the fracturing noise, driven by instinct rather than thought. Sofia felt her heart stop. The confrontation's urgency was ripped apart, and for a second, she lost sight of Maddie, Clara, and Sarah amidst the whirlwind. But something else, an object, a black silhouette, moved through the chaos. It slammed against the wall of the school, shaking the ground. Was it a person? A figure armed with something sinister? In the split second that followed, a realization dawned upon Sofia, one so profound that it anchored her in place. Whoever that was didn't just come to escalate the chaos. They were threatening everything they had built. With her heart in her throat, she realized the truth. Everything had just changed. Who could be trusted now? And in this storm of uncertainty, what secrets lay buried beneath all the illusion? The rain surged, the air electrified, and in that horrifying moment, she stood trembling, the weight of the unknown dragging her deeper into fear. The rain hammered down like 1,000 angry fists, drowning out the chaos. Everyone's attention was fixed on the emerging storm, and the two girls caught in their own. Tempest. Maddie and Clara. Sofia's eyes darted around, alarmed by the explosion of panic that rippled through the crowd. She felt trapped, her heart racing, every beat echoing in her ears. Just when the weight of the moment felt unbearable, the unknown figure that burst onto the scene became more than just a shadow in the storm. A crack of lightning split the sky, illuminating a small object that rolled past Sofia's feet, glimmering ominously in the downpour. Her heart dropped when she recognized it. A small black notebook. Maddie's notebook. "Maddie!" Clara shouted, her voice carrying urgency, sharp enough to cut through the noise. "The truth can't stay buried. You need to face it." Maddie's expression faltered, a mix of anger and fear flickering across her face. "Give it back!" she shouted. The Clara's gaze was fixed on the notebook, clearly torn. But before anyone could grasp its significance, another figure jumped into view. It was Ethan, a quiet boy known for his sketches, who ran forward, drenched but determined. "Wait!" he yelled, snatching the notebook from the ground. "What is this?" Sofia felt the heavy pulse of curiosity and dread. The crowd held its breath, all eyes narrowing on Ethan. He hesitated, glancing at Maddie, who looked as if she might collapse under the weight of their intense scrutiny. "Maddie, this is your journal, the one you thought was lost." The air thickened with tension. Gasps rippled through. The crowd like wind-rustling leaves. "What's in it? What does it say?" someone whispered, leaning forward, eyes wide like saucers. Maddie's voice cracked as she struggled to keep her composure. "No! Don't read it! You don't know what you're asking for!" But Ethan lifted the notebook, water dripping from the pages, a small but dangerous smile creeping onto his face. Her fears, her secrets, right here, he taunted, and with a trembling hand he opened it. The rain poured, almost as if nature itself knew the explosion of emotions that was about to unfurl. Maddie's eyes widened, a rush of panic washing over her. "Don't!" she shouted again. But Ethan was already reading, his voice rising above the storm. "It says here you're not just a bully. You've been hurting people because you were hurt first. But it also says something else. It says you—" A scream echoed from the crowd, cutting through the words that hung heavy in the air. Everyone turned to see a girl, Ava, a soft-spoken freshman, face stricken with horror, backing away. "Wait, Maddie!" she shouted, her voice tremoring. "Was it you? Were you the one who—" Gasps filled the air, drowning out the rain. Ava's eyes were wide, filled with revelation and dread. The murmurs surged, a wave of disbelief and accusation crashing around them. "What does she mean?" someone asked, voices rising in confusion. "Maddie," Clara spoke softly, but the hurt in her tone was unmistakable, layering the air with emotional weight. "What did you do?" Trembling, Maddie took a step backward, pressed against the wall of the school, fingers curling into fists. "You don't understand," she murmured, fish eyes darting among the faces filled with shock and betrayal. The rain continued to pelt down violently around them. An unexpected silence fell, a deafening pause where truth hung suspended. The truth could shatter everything, but how much would it cost? Their understanding of Maddie, of everything up until now, was unraveling. The crowd buzzed with whispers, escalating tension over what was about to be revealed. The pages of the notebook fluttered, waves of emotion crashing against the shores of their fears. Tension tightened around Sofia. Her heart raced, her breath caught, anticipating a storm far greater than the rain soaking them all. Then, Maddie's voice broke the silence, a whisper so soft yet so firm. "You don't know what I went through. You don't know who I was before." Stunned silence enveloped the courtyard, leaving the crowd in shock, scattered shards of doubt and accusation. The air felt electric, and in that moment, everything changed. Would Maddie's darkest secrets redefine her? Would they turn the tide of the crowd? And with that, as the rain poured and the thunder crashed, they all felt it. The ground beneath them wasn't just soaked, it was ready to quake beneath the weight of buried truths. The rain poured down, a relentless torrent as maddening as the emotions swirling beneath the crowd. Maddie stood before everyone, her heart pounding loud enough to drown out the thunder above. "You don't know what I went through. You don't know who I was before." Silence fell, heavy and thick. It felt like the world was holding its breath, and the only sound was the pounding rain, splashing against the concrete. Clara took a step closer to Maddie, her eyes wide. "Then tell them!" But before Maddie could respond, a sudden flash of lightning lit up the sky, blinding and white, igniting a primal fear in everyone present. Then, in that terrifying moment, a loud crack echoed, a sound so close it felt like it came from within them. Something had fallen, rolled away from the now soaked pages of Maddie's notebook and into the chaos. Sofia squinted to see, and her heart dropped. A small bundle lay on the ground, cast away like a forgotten toy. It looked innocuous at first, just another piece of debris from the storm. But as she got closer, the reality sank in. Maddie's eyes widened in horror. "No! Stay back!" she cried, panic washing over her. But curiosity tugged at the crowd, and one brave soul stepped forward, reaching out for the bundle. The moment their fingers brushed against it, a shrill sound sliced through the air. A piercing alarm erupted from the bundle, echoing through the yard, drowning out the rain. "What is that?" someone shouted, eyes wide with fear. Sofia's heart raced. The alarm blared louder, red lights flashing on the small device. A smartphone. In the chaos, someone had triggered a video. As if caught in a web of shock, all eyes turned to the screen, illuminating in the rain-soaked darkness. The live footage played, an unfiltered feed, streaming directly from Maddie's phone. And everyone saw it. The footage revealed a world so different from the bright colours of her mural. A hidden depths of darkness emerged. There, lying in the shadows, was Maddie, vulnerable, alone, collaborating with bullies, spilling secrets and orchestrating plans that held the power to harm others. Hurtful. Schemes outlined. Faces exposed. Their laughter painted with malice. Maddie's past laid bare for everyone to see. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Anger and betrayal bubbling to the surface. "How could you?" someone yelled, pointing at her. "You were one of them." "No, it's not what it looks like," Maddie cried, reaching out, desperation pouring from her. I never meant for this to." But the truth was out, splattered across the screen. And it didn't matter. The crowd surged with outrage. Faces twisted in shock, horror, and rage. The whispers turned into shouts, a tidal wave of accusations. "You're a liar! You betrayed all of us!" The trust shattered in an instant, cruel and jagged, like shattered glass. Sofia's stomach turned. She felt sick watching Maddie stumble, her facade crumbling like dust in the rain. It was as if the storm itself cried out, the skies rumbling in response to the brewing catastrophe below. Amidst the chaos stood Clara, expression unchanged but eyes narrowed, realization dawning. "Your secret was never safe," she shouted, her voice cutting through the storm. "You thought you could hide." Maddie's lips quivered, and tears flowed freely down her cheeks. "I didn't want to be alone," she shouted back, raw emotions spilling into the air. "I wanted a place to belong, even if it meant hurting you all." Suddenly, a chaotic shout came from the edge of the crowd. "Look out!" Like a tidal wave, the bullies rushed forward from the other side, emboldened by Maddie's exposure. Fury and desperation fueled them as they charged, ready to retaliate against the tide of betrayal. Sofia held her breath, paralyzed. Everything she thought she knew fell apart, and fear washed over the group, like the rain drenching them. Maddie had wanted connection, but the cost? It was tearing them all apart. As chaos erupted, the shouts blended with the rain, an indiscernible roar of sound. The moment felt infinite. A whirlwind of emotion and confusion, as faces twisted in anger and confusion. Would anyone manage to find hope in the depths of this storm? Would the unraveling of secrets tear their world even further apart? But before anyone could grasp what was happening, a terrifying flash of light exploded above them. Bright, jarring, and everything changed. What had been hidden began to emerge, and life, like the rain, poured forth with reckless abandon. Nothing would ever be the same again. The rain beat down harder, drowning out the chaos. But the rising tension was undeniable. Maddie stood trembling, eyes wide, the crowd bursting with anger and disbelief. Just as she struggled to breathe amidst the storm and the cacophony of voices, something shifted. A blinding flash of lightning illuminated the scene again, casting strange shadows over their faces, distorting their emotions, mingling fear with something deeper. And then the loud bang came, not from above, but from the ground behind them. Suddenly, the sound reverberated through the courtyard like thunder, a metal clatter echoing off the walls. Like puppets on strings, the crowd froze and whipped around to see where the noise originated. From behind the crowd, a figure stumbles forward, drenched and wild-eyed. It was Eric, a kid known around school for his offbeat humor and skateboard tricks. But in that moment, he didn't look like himself. He was clutching something tightly in his fist. "Maddie!" he shouted, breathless, eyes desperate. I found it! He raised his arm, revealing a metal box, scratched and battered. It was hefty, weighty, like it held the secrets of the universe inside. The crowd leaned closer, panic woven with curiosity. Sofia's heart raced. What was inside? Maddie blanched, shock washing over her. No, Eric, put that down. You don't know what you're messing with. But it was too late. The box flung open with a loud snap, and the air shifted. A cloud of paper, old and crumpled, burst forth like an explosion. The contents twirled in the wind, scattering everywhere like lost thoughts escaping confinement. Sofia gasped. Images crossed her mind. Faces, moments, memories, all spiraling into the storm. As the pages fluttered and danced, words began to take shape. Horrific snippets of conversations that never should have seen the light. Silenced confessions rolled out like thunderclaps. Dark, twisted secrets unspooling into the world. Maddie, you, one paper declared. Accusations thick as fog. Another said, cursed because of your lies. Gasps erupted from the crowd. The collective reaction spiraled from confusion to disbelief, rapidly fueled by the words that flew past like arrows, piercing hearts with their truth. Everyone stop, Maddie screamed, hand shooting up in desperation. It's not like that, it's not... But her voice dissolved under the wave of chaos, drowned out by astonished shouts and growing outrage. Liars! You're just like them! Echoed through the crowd, until a chorus of disbelief chimed in, confusing reality with narratives painted through pain. Maddie's face flushed with shame, teetering between anger and the raw need to hide. Yet one voice cut through the panic. Lucas, stepping forward to shield her. Wait, what does this even mean? He demanded, eyes darting among the papers where the storm of emotions spilled onto the concrete. And just like that, before anyone could respond, an unexpected crack split the air, a surge so alarming that it knocked everyone off balance. The crowd gasped in unison. A red light flickered, piercing the chaotic scene, revealing a hidden figure lurking at the back. Everyone suddenly aware of a presence they had missed amidst the uproar. It was another girl, standing tall, yet alone. Gemma, their former classmate, who had vanished last year under mysterious circumstances. Her eyes gleamed with an unsettling confidence. I see you found what I buried, Maddie, she announced, her voice both soft and chilling in the rain-soaked atmosphere. Gasps cascaded through the crowd once again. Could it be? Rumours swirled in whispers. Gemma had left town in disgrace. Her name was connected with scandal, and she had vanished without a trace. Maddie, she continued, her gaze penetrating. It's time to face the truth of what you've done. You put us all at risk, but you didn't know the risks you'd have to take. And now... The air felt thick, and everything hung in the balance like a tightrope walk above a chasm. Maddie's face morphed between realization and panic. Secrets sprawled beneath the surface, threatening to swallow them whole. What are you talking about? Maddie demanded, voice shaking. The crowd leaned forward, breath held, waiting for the truth to spill. But that truth? They had been waiting for something devastating, and it looked far worse than expected. The storm approached, a fury of confusion and misdirection. Sofia felt her heart race. Nothing would ever be the same again. This revelation from the shadows, could it alter the very fabric of their lives? What would happen next? The fear, the uncertainty, settled over them like the relentless rain, weighing heavy on hearts and minds. as the scene darkened. The air thickened, hanging heavy with tension as everyone held their breath. You put us all at risk, but you didn't know the risks you'd have to take. And now, Gemma's words hung in the air, snapped like a fragile twig under the weight of the storm. Maddie's expression warped as her face turned a shade of white, like freshly fallen snow. What? What do you mean? She asked, voice breaking, desperation creeping into her tone. The crowd shifted uncertainly, confusion swirling like the rain around them. Sofia stood motionless, caught between fear and curiosity, her heart racing. Then, a loud crack rang out like a gunshot, a terrible noise interrupting the charged atmosphere. Everyone turned, startled. Like a jolt of electricity, everything changed in a heartbeat. A sudden explosion rocked the courtyard. Pieces of wood and metal flew through the air, a chaotic storm that sent students scrambling, crying out in fear. "What was that?" someone yelled. Panic. Rising, people ducked for cover, hearts pounding in their chests. Maddie stumbled, her eyes wide with terror. "Get down!" she screamed. But it was too late. A blinding flash lit up the sky, and time slowed as dust and debris rained down. Sofia felt the world tilt on its axis, a dizzying sensation flooding her senses. She grabbed onto a nearby railing, her knuckles turning white. Through the haze, she saw a figure emerge from the smoke, clad in black, but shocked into stillness. It was Eric, clutching something in his hands, covered in dust and caught in the moment, eyes wide but determined. "Maddie," he yelled, his voice rising above the chaos. "You need to see this." He opened his palm to reveal a small, round object, a flash drive. The crowd went silent, the air thick with uncertainty. Everyone watched, breathless, as Eric stepped closer to Maddie, the flickering flames of the chaos behind him, illuminating the fear in her eyes. "Please, don't," Maddie whispered, her voice almost drowned out by the fear throbbing in the courtyard. Eric's face hardened, his expression unwavering. "It's all here. Everything you ever did. All the plans." His voice shook, filled with a mixture of anger and pity. "You think you can run away from this?" The crowd shifted again, anticipation pulling at their collective breath. The realization swept through them, twisting the atmosphere tighter. What had Maddie lost control of? What secrets were hidden within this simple device? With trembling hands, Maddie reached for the drive, fighting back tears. "You don't understand. It was never supposed to happen." But Eric stepped back, shaking his head. "No, you don't get to twist this and change the narrative. You hurt us all." Sofia felt a chill wash over her. The weight of the moment pressed against her chest. What horrifying revelations lay buried, waiting to resurface? Suddenly, from the corner of the courtyard, something else emerged. A figure stepping out from the shadows. Someone familiar, yet different. It was Clara, and shock was etched across her features. "Wait!" she shouted, the urgency palpable. "Don't open it!" But Eric's resolve hardened. Why not? What are you hiding? As he held the drive up to the light, the crowd tensed, an aching uncertainty that gripped their hearts. Would the contents change everything they thought they knew? Would it shatter their fragile community? And just like that, when everyone least expected it, the ground beneath them trembled. A deafening roar tore through the air like thunder, and an unexpected crack appeared, splitting the pavement. An underground rumble, a sign of something monumental shifting beneath them. It can't be, Sofia mumbled, eyes widening with horror. No, no, it can't end like this, Maddie cried, panic rising in her voice as reality unravelled around them. The courtyard became a battlefield, with the storm above and the trembling earth below. Everything they thought they knew was unspooling into chaos, opening the door to truths they couldn't possibly foresee. And as the chaos reigned, one thought echoed in Sofia's mind. What lay ahead was beyond anything they could imagine. The storm raged on, but could anything survive the depths of their buried secrets? The ground trembled again, and that loud crack echoed menacingly, sending tremors through Sofia's bones. As Eric stood there, the drive held high like some twisted trophy, Maddie's eyes darted back and forth, caught between defiance and despair. The crowd buzzed, emotions roiling like a brewing storm, every soul present on edge. Don't you see, Maddie? All this time you've been running from the truth, Eric shouted, his voice carrying the weight of betrayal. The wind whipped around them, capturing their fear and dispersing it like autumn leaves. No, you don't understand, Maddie shouted back, her voice cracking. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. But before she could finish, the ground beneath them roared again, a deafening growl echoing in the distance. The vibrations intensified, and the rain began to wash away the concessions of normalcy, exposing emotions buried deep. The crowd gasped collectively as they felt the earth shift beneath their feet. Then, unexpectedly, the metal box Eric had dropped clanged against the pavement, sending a shockwave of silence over the chaos. Everyone turned, their eyes wide, directing their attention back toward the box. It rattled ominously, like it contained a storm of its own. "Eric!" Clara cried, her voice shrill with worry as she stepped closer. But it was too late. The lid sprang open with a loud pop, unleashing a flurry of papers that seemed to take on a life of their own, swirling upwards into the air, revealing the childish scrawls of shared secrets danced in the wind. From the center of the box, a bright light sputtered, pulsating like a heartbeat as it illuminated the confusion surrounding them. The crowd stood frozen, breathless, watching the flickering light and waiting for something monumental to happen. Then, in a voice both haunting and familiar, a recording began to play. A voice everyone recognized. "Maddie, everyone thinks you're innocent, but do you remember what you did? You thought you could keep this hidden. You thought you were safe." Maddie's pale face turned a shade of crimson, her jaw tightening. "No, not this!" she pleaded, clenching her fists, panic glittering in her eyes. The recording continued, echoing through the courtyard. "You betrayed your friends for acceptance. You never wanted any of this to come out, did you?" The crowd grew tense, eyes darting, emotions brewing into a whirlpool of anger and disbelief. "What did she do?" voices murmured through the group. "What's happening?" And just then, everything changed. A loud clap sounded in the sky, punctuating the recording, and from the shadows, a familiar face emerged. Someone everyone thought had vanished completely. It was Zoe, the girl who had transferred schools the previous year, known for her kind spirit and talent for drawing. As she stepped forward, the world felt like it was spinning, reality twisting back on itself. "Maddie, I saw you. I saw everything. You can't hide anymore," Zoe shouted fiercely, her charges echoing through the crowd like bullets. As if struck, the wind shifted, biting through the rain-soaked ground. "No!" Maddie screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of accusation. But the truth hung heavy in the air, a noose tightening around her neck, constricting even as she gasped for breath. Sofia's heart raced. Was Zoe the key to the truth? The missing piece of the puzzle they all needed? The whole crowd drew nearer, faces twisted in horror, as the revelations began to cascade down like the rain that soaked them to the bone. Then, just as everything teetered on the edge, a blinding light erupted from the box, engulfing all of them in a brilliance that was otherworldly. At the center of the chaos, shadows twisted and morphed, and the sound of voices began to meld together, drowning out the rain. The crowd shielded their eyes against the blinding brightness, a collective gasp escaping their lips. Everything felt unreal, as the light pulsed, stretching time and reality to the breaking point. Then, all at once, it vanished, leaving only a silence so profound it caused the air to thrum with anticipation. Moments passed in a heartbeat, and when the light faded, the box lay there, empty and still, except for one final thing floating slowly to the ground: a torn photograph. Sofia's heart sank as it fluttered down, revealing the faces of students, each one more familiar than the last. But at the forefront stood Maddie, grinning alongside a younger Zoe, both girls holding hands as if nothing mattered. But beside them, shadows lurked. Friends and enemies melded into one indistinguishable blur. And as the photograph settled into the mud, a name emerged, an unfamiliar name, scrawled in the corner. Elena. What? Who is she? Someone whispered, bewildered by the mystery unveiled. Confusion flooded the courtyard, tension giving way to a sense of dread. Maddie swayed on her feet, disoriented, every eye on her, questioning everything they thought they knew. No, this can't be right, I didn't, she mumbled. And just like that, the storm resumed in full force, leaving horrified silence in its wake. Suddenly, the realization hit them all. What else was hidden in the shadows? And what truths lay waiting beneath the surface? Questions echoed louder than the rain, lingering in their hearts. What had they stumbled upon in the chaos? And how deep did the secrets run? A heavy stillness cloaked them, their world tilted dangerously, unsure of who to trust anymore. And just before anyone could speak again, another crack of thunder exploded overhead, a warning that the storm was far from over. The crowd stood frozen, the storm's fury intensifying as confusion reigned. The photograph fluttered to the ground, settling like a weight upon their hearts. Maddie looked like she might crumble under the pressure. Please, everyone, this isn't who I am, she cried, desperation tipping her voice. But as the faces of her classmates morphed from shock to betrayal, Sofia felt a pang of empathy. She saw the trembling in Maddie's fingers, the moisture glistening in her eyes. Maybe it's time to listen, Clara shouted over the din, her voice breaking through the malaise. Maddie has to face the truth, not just for us, but for herself. The rain came down harder. It soaked them, blurring the line between fear and resolve. Eric, still holding the drive, stepped toward Maddie. Then let's talk. No more hiding. His words hit like a clap of thunder. In an instant, Maddie's defenses began to melt, a flicker of vulnerability slipping through. I was scared, she whispered, her hurt spilling out in an unexpected confession. I thought if I hurt others first, no one would hurt me. The crowd shifted, the sound of hearts softening beneath the weight of her truth. Sofia felt a change in the air. Real stories were rising above the past shadow. And with each beat, Eyes turned back to Maddie, searching for hope beyond her mistakes. And then Gemma, standing strong, added her voice. We're all hiding our scars. It's time to come together, not tear each other apart. Maddie's gaze faltered, her emotions colliding like dark clouds about to burst. It was unclear whether anger or compassion would win, but as the rain beat down, blending with the storm of feelings, one single cry echoed through the courtyard. We can't keep blaming each other. We can heal, but we need the truth. A single moment of silence settled over them, punctuated by the rhythmic thrum of raindrops and heartbeats. They stood on the precipice, waiting for Maddie's response. Maddie, Sofia said, stepping forward, heart racing. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to admit you were wrong. But it's not too late. We can redefine this together. Maddie searched their faces. So many eyes reflecting tiny suns of compassion. In that whirlwind of vulnerability, she took a shaky breath and stepped forward. I can't change the past, but I want to change for the future. The crowd erupted into murmurs, doubt mixing with hope. Could this really be a turning point? Sofia thought, feeling her heart clench. Yes, Eric shouted and thrust the drive into Maddie's hands. If we can talk, if we can be honest, maybe we can make this right. Still trembling, Maddie took hold of the drive, grounding herself amidst the ferocity of the storm. I'll share everything. The mistakes, the pain, I owe it to all of you. As the rain continued, cleansing the weight of the past, a wave of acceptance washed over them. They recognized their collective journey, scars worn with pride and stories with power. And just as the dark clouds began to part above, a soft light emerged, sparkling, glimmering hope. This storm, once a harbinger of chaos, had become their catalyst for change. With shared breaths and open hearts, they stood together, a united front against the shadows that had loomed for too long. Their murmurs crescendoed into a roar, each voice lifting the other higher. But the sky still held whispers of uncertainty. The past was still buried beneath them, the future just a breath away. And now for you. Yes, you. It's time to make your voice heard. You need to subscribe right now to ensure you don't miss out on the exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button now. It's crucial for the algorithm, trust me. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about what just happened. Let's hear your take on Maddie's journey. And don't wait another second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this conclusion. True fans know this is the moment to show your support. Let's keep this community thriving.